Hey guys, and welcome to my channel. My name is Kirsty. If you're new here and if you've been here before, welcome back and thank you so much for sharing your time with me. It's January 2025. It's actually one of my favorite times of the year. New year, new me is the new saying that everyone says every year, and I honestly love it. People always bag people out about it, but I personally really love it simply in the fact that you can feel the energy. People are motivated. People want to change. But the thing is that not everyone knows how to change. People often start off with amazing intentions, right? They're like, yes, like a bull out of the gate, like get me to this goal. I want to feel amazing. I want to be someone different. But then what will happen is that often people go too hard too quick, or they just don't know how to get there. So they end up falling off the wagon, falling back into the same habits that they had and staying the same person again for another year. And so this can be quite defeating. So I personally am never someone that ever puts anyone down for wanting to change. You want to start at the new year? Go for it. I am here for you. So I hope this video motivates you to do that, because I want people, when they feel like they want to change, to be able to have the tools to be able to change. So in this little mini video, I'm going to give you my few steps of what I personally would recommend. It's not going to be fancily edited. I'm really sorry about that, but you can watch this as many times as you need to. But I wanted to be able to take you through a process to be able to, one, be able to set your goals, who you want to become, but then be able to achieve them this year, right? And keep it as simple as possible. So number one, of course, when you're thinking about becoming someone else, you think about this new version of you. The first step is you need to think about what kind of habits and behaviors and actions would this version of you be doing. Because it's really important to start to paint a picture of this next level you. And the reason why I say this is because once you start to think about the common things she'd be doing, throughout her day-to-day routine, how would she sleep, what kind of people would she be around, what kind of thoughts would she think, you then get to start to create this beautiful mental image. This also allows to create a roadmap for you, right? You know where you want to go. Then we start to work backwards. So by working backwards and making these, this ideal version of you with these ideal habits and routines and behaviors, you are able to break it down into actionable steps to start working towards that. Because often what people can think is they have this amazing vision, right? I do it too. But you can have this amazing vision and you're like, I want to have this now, but you're like, I don't know how to get there. But when you start to create this beautiful picture, this beautiful roadmap of okay, cool, what does this person do? Then you can start to paint a picture, right? It doesn't always have to go to plan. However, it does give you this amazing roadmap. So when I talk about habits and behaviors, the reason why this is so important is because your habits and behaviors, including your thoughts, everything of the sorts, is what's going to help you evolve. Because often people try to change, but they don't do anything to actually change their habits. So they actually end up remaining the same. For you to be able to evolve and become this next level you have to become someone else. It's just naturally has to be that way, because if you keep doing the same thing, you're going to end up staying the same. So it requires cognitive, conscious action and effort from you to be able to make that change. Habits come into play because habits are a set of automatic, unconscious actions that you do, right? And that's what you want to get to at that point, right? It comes through repetition. I like to think of it as like an example of, when you drive a car, right? And when you drive a car, it's pretty much automatic. But if you think back to when you first learned, it's probably a little bit scary, right? You're learning left and right, giving way, all these things that you have to do. And with that, just remember that at the start, it may feel challenging, but then over time, it gets easier and easier and easier through repetition, right? So when you think about becoming this next level version of you, and I'm going to talk about breaking down habits in a second, is that when you think about this next level version of you, you do want to think about the fact that it may feel a little bit bumpy at the start. It may feel a little bit hard, but over time, it will get easier. So what you want to do with your habits, though, is that once you realize who you need to become, what she thinks, what she acts, the kind of people she hangs around, where she is, all that sort of stuff, even if you don't have all the information right now of what you can visualize, just some of it's fine. Because once you've got that, you want to start to work backwards and you think about what's the easiest thing I could start with, right? Maybe you want to become this version of you where you're training several times a week, you're able to run 10 kilometers, you can do 10 pull-ups, You eat really well, you've got great relationships around you, and you're like super positive towards yourself. You're just like, oh my God, like, you don't beat yourself up, like you're so empowering towards yourself. Like, it could be anything, right? You want to think about these amazing things that you want to cultivate into your life and work backwards. So with that, let's just say, for example, we're going to talk about training, okay? Now, let's say you want to train several times a week, let's say 4 times a week, right? And you want to be running 10 kilometers on average, like that's something you really want to do. You also want to be able to do 10 pull-ups at some point this year. So by working backwards, one, you need to look at where you're starting from, but you work backwards to see where you're at, right? And let's just say, because you want to get to this point, okay, cool, let's just say you're not doing anything at all at the moment, you're going to start off with like 1 to 2 sessions a week, right? And they're going to be like full body workouts, maybe so. And we go, okay, cool, that sounds achievable, right? Do that for a couple months, focusing on that, getting into a nice rhythm. But then how can we make that even easier, right? Okay, well, I don't really want to think about specifically what I'm doing. I actually need help because I'm not sure how to get there. Okay, maybe you ask for some help and get a plan, right? Then if you think about it in this aspect, how can you actually make it easier? Before you even get a plan, okay, cool, you want to get to the point where you're training 1 to 2 sessions a week towards your goal to start off with before you progress to like 3 to 4, and you also want to plan, you go, cool, all right, well, I just want to start moving my body as much as I can, whether it's walking, maybe doing, some body weight movements or whatever it might be. Okay, cool, that's my next, like my easier step. Then you work backwards again. Okay, cool, well, then what do I need to make that happen? All right, well, I find it challenging for me to get up in the mornings, but I really want to get it done in the mornings. Okay, cool. We're going to look at getting up in the mornings like 1 to 2 times a week. But then we need to make that easier again. How do we make it easier for you in the morning to make it less resistant, right? Okay, cool. Well, let's make sure that your workout gear and your shoes are laid out the night before. So you can make it easier and easier and easier. And you want to do this with every action that you can, or the most important ones that you feel like are going to change your life. You could pick 2 to 3 to focus on. And the reason why I say this is because that first step, you want to make sure that there's the least resistance as possible, because things are going to get hard, right? Your body and your mind do not like change. When we talk about the comfort zone can also be a zone where you don't want to be, but because it's like your normal, even when you want to change in a positive way, you're like, yes, I want to change, I'm ready to change, there's also going to be some kickback. So what you want to do is make your habits as easy as possible, all right? Reason is because when you make it as easy as possible, on those harder days, when you have a crap day at work, maybe you have a fight with your partner or whatever it might be, you're going to be like, no, but I still want to do this for me, right? You want to make it as easy as possible. It makes you feel like you've accomplished something, right? So let's just say, you're not having a great day or something, and you're like, but I'm going to make sure I'm ready for tomorrow, because tomorrow could be a different day. I'm laying out my shoes, I'm laying out my clothes. Even though I don't feel like it right now, I'll reassess in the morning, but at least it's ready to go, right? And then you wake up the next day. Often a sleep can usually change circumstances too and how you feel. Obviously not everything, but most. But you've done it for yourself, right? And the day of you has set you up for a greater future tomorrow, right? You want to make it as easy as possible. Just that first step. Whatever comes after, then sure. But if you start with that first step, it allows you that extra chance of success. So this is what I call the domino effect. A lot of people use the domino effect as an example, but I personally love it because, one, when you pick the easiest, like the lowest hanging fruit, the easiest action you can do it on those challenging days. But those little bouts of like, I can do this, I can do this, I can do this, has a domino effect, right? Those habits you do for yourself has a domino effect. Like, even if you set your shoes and your clothing up one night and you don't wake up in the morning, cool, but do it the next night. Okay, it's there, I'm going to do it. Maybe it doesn't happen the second night, but the third night it does, like the third morning it does, okay? But it's set up and it's done, okay? The idea is that we start to create these little bouts of success, and that is the domino effect. So when you think about dominoes, right, and they're set up in a line, when you flick it, it starts to knock all down in a row, right? And we want to think about the same with our habits. When we start one, we start this amazing chain reaction of great, amazing things that we want to accomplish, right? Naturally, there's going to be a point in your journey where you might fall off the wagon, where you might do things that are like the old you or whatever. That's totally fine, right? You don't want to judge yourself. You just want to go, oh, how interesting that happened. I just defaulted. Okay, all right, let's get back on track tomorrow. What's the easiest thing I can do? Okay, I'm going to set myself up for success for the rest of the day, or maybe to set myself up for success for the rest of, like for tomorrow, right? Depending on what stage of the day you're in, okay? And you just want to be like, oh, how interesting. You know, right? Because when we think about it, we're essentially changing our habits and behaviors. And for us to be able to create a new set of habits and behaviors, we essentially are unlearning the old ones that we're doing, but recreating new ones. But naturally, our default in challenging times is probably going to be whatever is the strongest. And if the strongest, without, like, if we're not aware, but usually if we're not aware and we're not super conscious with what we're doing, it'll default to whatever is the strongest. And this is why I highly encourage with everyone I work with is never to judge yourself, because it's just like, it's just what you've learned to survive. I personally feel like it's just when you're going through challenging times, because they do come, right? It's never smooth sailing in life, and people have like slip-ups or whatever, but you just have to go, oh, how interesting that happened, right? But try and stay as conscious as you can, being aware of the actions you're doing, because then the more that you start to become aware of the feelings, the sensations, the noticing, oh, okay, I noticed that when this certain co-worker comes in and they start talking to me in this certain way, I want to go and eat like all the chocolates in the chocolate jar. Okay, well, if that happens again tomorrow, I'm just going to go for a walk instead. I'm going to see if that changes anything. And that is how we start to change the course of habits too, right? So just bringing beautiful conscious awareness to the things that we're doing. So you have the power to change. You have the power to achieve all of your goals that you want to do. It's absolutely within your reach, right? It wouldn't be on your heart if it wasn't meant for you, I personally feel. So with that, I hope that this helps give you some little insight. So to recap that, because I have no fancy editing or anything of the sorts just yet. To recap that, 1, get clear on who it is you want to be and the habits, the thoughts, the behaviors that this person does, this version of you. Then start to have a look at where you're at right now and work backwards from where you want to be to where you're at right now, and find the easiest action you can start taking today to create a different future for tomorrow. Even if that's literally just setting up your clothes and your shoes ready for tomorrow, right? Like the littlest, simplest action. It could be having your water bottle on the table that's filled with water ready to go in the morning. It could be, you know, having your book on your pillow in the morning tomorrow so you'll read it tomorrow night, right? It could be anything of the sort. So have a think about what is the easiest action and think about the domino effect, right? And I want you to think about like, okay, cool, well, this action today is going to create a beautiful domino effect for tomorrow, right? Just pausing this video for a random fun fact that you probably didn't need to know, but you're going to learn now. Wasps remember human faces. I don't know if it's all wasps, but I do remember reading this study, and I'll have to look for it and post it below in the notes if you want to know. But the reason why I'm bringing this to light is because I was just filming this video and there was a wasp on my camera, and I was like, I'm inside right now. And I was like, how did a wasp get inside? But I live in this amazing nature setting, which I might show one day, but sometimes wildlife likes to come inside. And I like to live in harmony as much as I can, as long as it's not hurting me. And yeah, I just thought I'd share that fun fact in case, you know, you ever want to like kill a wasp's nest or something of the sorts. I truly believe that unless it's hurting you or in harm's way or anything of the sorts, like you're allergic or something, just let it live, because wasps remember human faces and they will come and get you, okay? So yeah, random fun fact for today's little video. So to finish off this video, I wanted to be able to chat a little bit about the, I suppose, negative domino effects that you may encounter and something to be aware of, right? Because when you start to bring awareness to the things that you're doing, a really great way to be able to discover whether something is working for you or not, or like bringing awareness to your behaviors and action, is by doing daily reflections. So your daily reflections can be like, what actions really aligned well with me today? What actions did not? Where did I find the challenges? You know, what do I want to do differently tomorrow? And with that, you start to build out this beautiful data point about yourself, right? You're learning to get to know yourself. Often the reason why people can't change is because they don't know what they need to change. They don't understand. And I wanted to share like a negative domino effect that could potentially, trigger you to start to think about, in a positive way, of course, but start to think about, does this happen for me, or things of the sort. So like, for example, for me, when I eat just carbohydrates, especially in the morning, even if it's for pre-workout with no fats and no protein, the domino effect for the rest of the day is that I need more carbohydrates. And it usually starts to turn into like, I want junk carbohydrates. The reason why, I truly believe it's just because I have a massive blood sugar high and then a blood sugar low, even with training, even though that, muscles make you more, even though working out makes you more insulin sensitive, right? Your muscles take in glucose, so carbohydrates. I do find that even when I do train really hard, I still want more, right? So I personally find that I can't have just carbohydrates as a pre-workout meal. I have to have it with proteins and fats, and I can perform really, really well, but I can't have it as that, because if I don't have it with a little bit of fiber or anything of the sorts, I end up having this domino effect where I just want to eat junk all day. And sometimes that's just uncontrollable. And sometimes when I've done that, I actually do just eat junk all day. It's like I cannot control it. So when you start to learn these things about yourself, you start to go, okay, well, how can I just mitigate that risk? How can I lower that risk? How can I reduce the chances of this happening? The more data you start to collect about yourself, you start to learn your ins and outs, and that's how you can also change the domino effect too. So like, for example, for me, I didn't want to keep eating junk, but I still wanted to perform really well. So when I needed to fuel before my workouts, because that's a topic for another video, you don't have to fuel for every single workout, but when I wanted to fuel for my workouts, I just changed it to have more proteins and fats in there, and I was able to stay more balanced throughout my day-to-day. You just got to find what works for you, right? So that could be an example of that. It could be as well like, another domino effect that may not impact you positively. Could be like, maybe you have a really ill interaction with someone. Your automatic reaction is to go and eat like a bowl of ice cream or something, right? And then like the chain reaction after that is like, okay, well then every time you start to feel sad, you have this association with ice cream, right? And then this chain reaction is that you start to feel more sad more often, and then you start to eat more and more ice cream, and sometimes you're just sad and you can't even explain why. I know it sounds so funny, but like when you associate certain things with certain things, there's going to be habits that also pair with that too. So it's like when you start to associate ice cream with being sad, anytime you feel any sort of sadness or like, depressive feelings or anything of the sorts, then it's like, okay, well then I'm going to go and get the ice cream to make me feel better. And that's going to be an automatic reaction, right? It's the same thing with emotional eating, I personally feel, like from my personal experience, is that when I used to not feel great or feel really uncomfortable, food's my crutch. So every time I felt uncomfortable, like any sort of uncomfortable, even excited, even like achieving something, I would go and eat. And that's fine, but it was like a domino effect of things that were happening. So I had to become aware of it to go, oh, do I want to create a different outcome, right? And that way it gives me optionality too. So I hope today's little video was nice and informative, and I hope you enjoyed like my minimal editing skills. I will one day get very good, right? But your girl's working on a little bit of a budget, and I want to be able to share and just like hopefully, just empower you to be able to step into the greatest version of you, because I truly love, like I said, this time of year. This video can be watched at any time, but I truly love this time of the year simply because everyone's feeling motivated and inspired. So I hope that this video helps you keep that momentum, not necessarily motivation, but momentum to keep going and achieve your goals. And if you need help, of course, anytime, this is exactly what I help with. I am a sports nutritionist, I'm a personal trainer, a breathwork and cold exposure instructor. So altogether, I'm a holistic health coach, and I love to look at you as a whole and help you find the root cause as to why things are happening. So if you need help with your healthy habits, transforming your life with fitness, nutrition, whatever it is, reach out via a message, or you can check out my website. I'm always happy to have a chat and see if I can help you or I help put you in the right direction. But I hope you have the most amazing day. I hope you enjoyed today's video. And if you did watch it and you did like it and get any takeaways, please pop it below in the comments, because, you know, apparently like YouTube loves that. And like, I want to show YouTube that like these videos these are good, okay? But I also want to know if these are good for you guys. And that's actually the most important thing, because obviously if it's not like helping you learn or like anything of this, if it's not bringing something to you, it's like, well, girl, like you're just talking for like 20 minutes straight, what you doing, right? So let me know. But have the best day, happy new year, and I'll chat to you guys very, very soon.